so we'll start with Praveen. So Praveen, what's your definition of innovation? What have been your experience of doing?
So, according to my perspective, innovation which brings a new perspectives through creation, and also who are coming as an innovator should be able to capture his own market. He should know his who are his competitors. So, where is the product stages at different levels. So, they can understand all this perspective. Then he will be a good innovator, in my opinion.
Innovation, starting with the textbook definition so that I can clear my mind also, is where desirability, feasibility, and viability interact. Dumbing it down, I also see innovation as a way of solving a problem in such a way that people will be buying the solution that is available through certain means. And also, in that process, it's also important, in my opinion, to address what we call the latent needs. That is, solving things that they did not expect from the solution, providing that value to them. So that is what I see as innovation. It need not really be hi-fi technology. It need not be a scalable solution. A lot of times that is why we have jugaad solutions. So innovation is what can sometimes make do stuff, but something that can solve real problem for real people in the way they like it, even if they did not know that beforehand.
So I think there's one professor called Bill Ole from MIT. So he came up with a simple mathematical equation, right? And the mathematical equation was innovation is equal to idea into commercialization. Okay. So too often, for example, if let's say there's something at TRL 3 or 4 or whatever, and it doesn't get to the market, right? It doesn't really, it's a great idea, but somehow has not made it to mainstream. So that's one way of it. Second, I think is there's another regime which is actually taken from a very different context. So there used to be a US Secretary of State, which I have called Donald Rumsfeld. So for those of us old enough to remember the Iraq War, 2000. So he came up with this framing. There are known problems, known solutions. There are known problems, there are unknown solutions. There are unknown problems, there are unknown solutions. So innovation really happens in the bottom two categories, which is problems which exist. We know these problems exist, but we haven't found solutions. And there are other things which we don't know. I'll give you an example of the last one. So let's say in the last 120 years, thanks to, let's say, starting with the automobile, the aeroplane, whatever, a lot of things, a lot of innovation that happened, etc. It has also released a set of unintended consequences. We talk about climate change. Climate change was not required. Nobody was polluting anything. There were only horse-driven carriages. So obviously, there was no pollution. So these two categories. Problems. When you break it up, you draw a grid. So that's what.
So now we know what innovation is. So the next question comes: what drives innovation? What actually, because you work in an academic center, we work in an academic center, and we talk a lot about the skills, the education, everything is there, but still the innovation is not happening. What drives innovation? How to actually bring innovation to people's minds?
I think more important, I may have to twist the question. More important than what drives innovation, in my opinion, is what actually stops innovation. Because, in my opinion, innovation is innate to every human being. We all, if we cannot breathe from the nose, we'll probably breathe from the mouth. So, no one needs to tell us that. It comes very naturally to us. Any new thing, if one thing doesn't work one way, we try a different thing. That comes very naturally to us. But what stops innovation is usually the world around us. In my opinion, also, at the risk of sounding wrong, I would even say experience stops innovation a lot of times, because we think certain things should work certain ways. The cognitive fixedness that this has to work this way and such. And also, of course, scalability, with the lack of scalability of a solution. So I may work a solution for myself, but I cannot probably communicate it to someone else or reproduce it with a viable cost. So these probably can stop innovation, but innovation is automatically there, in my opinion, naturally existing in people and the society in general.
So these technology readiness levels, these are the NASA defined parameters for any type of product. There is a starting from TRL level 0 to 10. So that means from the ideation to the production and the product launch. The production starts at TRL level 9 and the product launch starts at 10. So where Tesla is a product level 10 stage. Driverless cars and all this, it's a TRL level 10 product. So what universities, academia stands there from ideation to the lab level. So TRL level 0 to 4 is the lab level. So the proof of concept is developed in the lab stage. And from TRL level 4 or 5, proof of concept to the production, which is 5 to 8, is between the ideation, reliability test, lot of QC tests has to be done between 5 and 8. So that's how the TRL levels are defined. And thus, it is defined by the NASA actually. And we are adapting that same policy even for Indian ecosystem also.
Just as a fact, so TRL levels were defined by NASA for launching Apollo missions. So when they were doing Apollo missions, they were not sure when we are ready to launch a mission. That's why they defined TRL levels and they tried to calculate, okay, this technology, is it ready to be kept inside a ship inside? So for that, they started doing this. So, but that became a standard across the world for technology readiness level. And now, even in India, we are using the same. Yeah, so MSR, you being the CEO of the world's largest innovation ecosystem, what do you think? What drives innovation?
I'll start on the negative side. So I throw some numbers. In India, R&D budgets are 0.7% of GDP. Even small countries, small meaning both physical dimension-wise, population-wise, countries like Finland, Israel spend 3%, Korea spend 3 to 4%, we spend 0.7%. And when you take even that 0.7%, a lot of that comes from government, CSIR labs, etc. Private sector is not investing. So lack of capital is a deterrent to innovation. More important, I think there is a fundamental mindset issue we have, right? A mindset problem. Chaudhary Garu was talking about this factory model, no? Where you take students, glorify them till they get into IIT. That's it. After that, the guy says, okay, let me go outside. Okay, go to work for some large global company and become $1. So I think there's a fundamental innovation mindset issue. We are not teaching our children critical thinking, creative thinking. Without that, you cannot build innovation. So I'll give you one more example. I go to a lot of colleges, talk to a lot of people. So I have a few standard questions which I ask all students. I ask them, have you heard of UN SDG? And I kid you not. So yesterday I was in college, last week I was in college. And these are all engineering or MBA students. So I asked them, how many of you are aware of UN Social Development Goals? Okay. There are 17 of them, we all know that. I asked them, how many of you are aware of UN SDG? I get blank faces. Second, some hands go up. So I tell them, okay, please tell me at least 5. Then even the number of 5 hands will become 1. Okay. So I don't think we are equipping our future generations for what is to come.
So, do you mean, is it a problem of exposure?
Mindset. So our education system is broken. It has to be fixed. See, what happens, think about this. Any young child, when the child is, let's say, 2, 3 years old, plays with whatever, in developed markets they play with Lego. Here we play with something else. They all experiment. But we stifle that creativity, that innovation, that experimentation. The pressure is focus on getting a degree, get a job, and go on. Nobody is talking about what can we do to make it. think we have to start with. The other thing which I think in India is a problem. See, somebody talked about Apollo. How many missions did they take to get Apollo right? Did the first trip go well? No, it didn't. How many people died when going? So as a society, we look down on failure. Even in entrepreneurship, Vishal will agree. If you fail, I believe it is better to try and fail than not to try at all. But whom do we celebrate? We celebrate those unicorn founders. Many of whom have not made a money or profit burning VCs money, right, and building businesses. But we don't celebrate people who tried and so I think mindset is the single biggest barrier to innovation. The ability to allow people to take risks, give them freedom of choice, destigmatize failure are the biggest barriers to. So let's say she was, when I was listening to her, what is this millet tea? It tastes like chalk. I mean, I've heard, I'm sure she's heard this.
I burned my hands in investing in a millet-based company in 2017. So that time India doesn't produce that much of millet. They were making
So I
some
think
products and I burned my
the
hands.
biggest thing we have to do is encourage this taking, destigmatize failure, and fix the education system. And then obviously we need capital. I mean, it's an amazing. On the other hand, even with this 0.7%, some of the things we're able to do is amazing. So, for example, I'll give you one example. Musk was supposed to come in, Elon Musk. So we have a startup. I'm sure most of you know that startup company called Sky. They've been able to get their rocket to go up in space the first time at a fraction of the cost of what Musk. So we are good at doing frugal innovation. We are also good at doing jugaad. But we have to figure out a way to formalize jugaad and make it more. Sorry.
But we still didn't got an answer. Yes.
When it comes to the entrepreneurship, according to our Indian education system, it is not included in our education system. But recently, some government initiative has been taken that after the PhD or during the master's program, Indian education system, the entrepreneurship also should be started parallel. Then only the education system, along with the startup ecosystem, will grow jointly. What we have seen is an Indian PhD student coming from out of this 29 IITs, either they settle as a private engineering college faculty or a IIT faculty or any university faculty. But he doesn't have the ability to start a startup ecosystem there. So now the system is changing. Some of the premier institutes like Pizzagani and all, they are starting the PhD programs with incorporation of this entrepreneurship program at the course level of the PhD itself. In that way, a PhD graduate coming out of that particular institute will be able to start his own product development or separate entity out of this college. So in that way, we need to modify slight changes in the education policy also.
I just want to add a couple of things. I think while I spoke on the negative aspects, but there are some green shoots. Right? So, for example, in the last budget, they said we'll commit 100,000 crores, 1 lakh crores, and to be given over a long period of time interest for innovation. Right? So, obviously, the fine print is in the details. Hopefully, when the next budget comes, we'll see that. Because one of the challenges I have seen, and I think I saw Shravan here somewhere. Yeah, so one of the challenges particularly for startups which are solving, which are not, like someone says I deliver something in 10 minutes. Okay, good. But is it a fundamental innovation? I don't. It is. It is an incremental innovation. You're doing logistics better, you're doing sourcing better, and all of that. But someone who's saying I'll solve real problems. So I think that is a welcome move. They are saying we'll give you money at very low. We'll have to see how the execution and rollout will happen. The second thing is also in terms of, unfortunately, the VC ecosystem. again, while we're all very happy, Jay Garu keeps talking about unicorns. I have a difference of opinion on that. We'll talk about it offline. But so let's say 120 unicorns or whatever that number is. $145 billion of capital has come into the startup ecosystem in the last 10 years. A lot of that money has come from outside. The problem with the VC ecosystem, even the nature of the funds. So a fund typically has, say, a 7-year life or an 8-year life. The kind of, let's say, if you're doing a healthcare device, just the whole process of from idea to clinical trial to certification, CE, FDA, blah blah, is a 3-4 year journey. And so, in terms of, because there's a lack of patient capital, we are also not going to have what, for example, they were able to do with Stanford or something.
So Professor, on the same lines, I can give you a counter example. When we talk about Silicon Valley, the whole thing came from there. They have a very mature system. India has only seen one cycle of investments. There is only one larger exit India had seen, that's Flipkart. And we can see how the whole exit of Flipkart introduced a lot of money in the market, a lot of confidence in the investors to put more money in the market. Whereas US have seen 3 or 4 such cycles. So that's why they now can have that kind of a patient capital, those kind of funds. And it is good that now the government can have that patience. Like, as an individual investor, we are not that mature that we can have that kind of patient capital. But government can put in that. I think that is what the government is trying to do. That's a good move. But we have to accept it that we are in a very, very nascent stage of this whole startup ecosystem. Then what do you think? Is every innovator an entrepreneur, or any entrepreneur or innovator? There is to be a clear-cut bifurcation?
I don't think the bifurcation is very clear, but there are two different entities where there is definitely considerable overlap, is what I would say. But after seeing a few questions from the audience and also extending on what the panelists said, and coming from the education sector, which is quote unquote broken, like Professor Sir said, and part of what I'm going to say now is going to be my personal opinion, and part is probably going to say what Regyanjyoti is doing.
We are going to have a big revelation. The disclaimer is yes.
So I think we as a country have been a middle class run society right now for the last 10 years at least. And that middle class mentality, even if someone is a crorepati, they grew up middle class, they'll continue to have the middle class mentality, which has been, well, historically even by Karl Marx, called bourgeois, which was a stoppage for all kinds of development. That is the middle class that we are talking about. They are by nature risk averse. And that, unfortunate or fortunate, we have now, the whole country is experiencing pretty much that, is what I see. And the education system is also kind of bolstering to it, where we are trying to only celebrate success, like Mr. Sir rightly pointed. The fear of failure is, we ensure that the education system definitely looks down on failure. And there is no way, I was actually asking Mr. Jayesh Ranjan in one of the panels earlier, that when he was the in-charge VC of JNTU Hyderabad, I asked him, you're the principal secretary of IT and also the in-charge VC, so this is a good question. I'll not get into the answer part right now, but my question is still valid. And that is, well, I teach entrepreneurship. I was teaching entrepreneurship at that time. We designed the syllabus in such a way that it can actually be conducted with students' ideas, pitching, and a jury panel and such. But it was supposed to be a theory exam, according to the academics regulation that was already finalized by the university. So, how can I now let my students be creative, come up there with their ideas, draw their canvases and everything. But then when they go and sit in the exam hall, they have to choose this or that question from unit 1 and then A or B questions from unit 2 and such. So this is where there is a large disconnect. How we teach and how we evaluate are two different things. And the unpopular opinion, purely personally mine, is today we have more of an examination system than an education system. We are ensuring that our examinations prepare people for jobs. And it actually, to me, at least as a teacher, unconventional as I am, I don't know why I should prepare students to meet the industry needs. I'm supposed to educate students so that they can grow, not because they have to fit into some jobs. And that is where I see a large disconnect again. So the jobs are already there, the companies are already there, and they need certain things to be done, so they need certain skills to be taught, and they'll tell us, and we teach those. And again, of course, they fall short because that's not what exactly the industry wants. Because, well, I started teaching 4 years ago, and now the industry is something else. So there, a lot of dynamics are coming into place, and students who could actually probably be better by themselves are kind of quote unquote ruling in the system. And this is where I also use the term creative courage with my students, and I teach design thinking. I tell them, as kids, we probably, all of us here, we probably were courageous enough to draw an animal and convince people that it was a horse. It probably never looked like a horse, but we made people could tell that that is a horse. That creative courage is gone. We now keep giving, put them in such a position where they keep second guessing themselves if they are doing it right or wrong or what. So this is again adding to the risk averse nature that we actually directly or indirectly put on them. But like ma'am said, I would definitely say I'm glad there are parents like you, ma'am. Thank you, where you want to encourage your kids to explore entrepreneurship as a child. But again, today's generation, while I did a lot of blaming on the previous generations, today's generation is also influenced by people we don't even know, people they don't even know. We call them influencers. But they don't have qualifications, they don't have experience, they just have opinions which they can popularize because they have followers. And these people are influenced by that also, and they don't know what to do because they hear one thing from the teachers, one thing from the society, one thing from the parents, one thing from the social media, and they're not sure what they're doing at the end of the day. So we left this current generation, which is probably very powerful in its own sense, and well, the entire world looks at India because we have the majority youth population, and what we have as youth is people with a lot of questions, confused minds, whether they don't know whether they know the thing or not. So that quadrant where I don't know that I don't know part, right? So that is where I think a lot of confusion is happening. And at some point, there should be parents like those who will actually encourage their kids to be risk taking. And there should also be institutions, like I totally agree with you, ma'am, where I was also proposing in my own institution, Vikyan Jyoti, that we conduct an open house, an R&D showcase, where it is important for us. I would again insist also for the larger audience out there looking at it online. It's important, in my opinion, to invite parents to such places, because that is where parents who think their kids are whiling away time in the college or probably not learning everything will really see how whatever little thing their kids have done is being celebrated. And they'll probably then understand why kids stay longer, why kids have to spend for components that they need to buy or whatever. So they also get to see the kids' peers, teachers, and everything. So this welcoming nature is also very important instead of closing down the systems, like ma'am rightly said. So I have taken a lot of time, so I'll probably leave it for the other panel. Sorry.
Yeah. So MSR, this is a tough question. So you must be getting a lot. Your email is out in the public. You must be getting a lot of email. People say like, my 8-year-old kid has built this thing. My college kid is doing this. Help him in becoming an entrepreneur. How do you say no to this?
First of all, we don't say. Okay. Obviously, you can't deal with every request at an individual level, but we have a system, we have a team. We do a couple of things. We run what we call open house. So we do this on fortnightly on Thursdays. So we ask anyone who has an idea to come talk. Some of us, they can't obviously join every session, but my team is there. They sit down, listen, and then if they think there's some merit in the idea, spend some more time. We also have a program we call Grids. It's now a 45-day program. So, for example, the last one we launched last week, and we had about so lots of applications selected for 20. The one thing I also wanted to add one more point to the innovation question. See, unlike many people, I don't think it's fair to assume that somebody who just comes out of college is cut out with an entrepreneur. Right? And I'll tell you why. Because one is having technical capability and all that, but when you want to, going back to this, right? When you want to build a business, I think some points which both Jagar and Vishal spoke about, it's also about getting to the market. College doesn't teach you how to get to the market. So I think and if you look at most entrepreneurs everywhere, most successful businesses are built by people of some experience. So suppose you work for 5 years, 10 years. Right? So you understand there's a world beyond technology. Right? You also have to figure out how to build a team, how to raise money, how to spend it, all of those things. So I think that's what makes for successful work. So that's one part. So what we try and do is to say you come, you talk to people, screen your ideas, and of course I get many ideas. Right? Some of them are super outlandish. I'll share one or two of them. One poor chap came all the way from Bombay to meet me and said, "Sir, I have this great idea which will change the world." I said, "Okay, tell me." So he said, "So we have this station in Bombay called BT, right? Victoria Terminus. Probably the busiest railway station in India. Close to, I think, a couple of million people go through it. So he said, "Sir, I have an idea. I will fit micro motors under the place, open the floor, people walk. So you get kinetic energy. We use that to power BT, not just BT, we power all of Bombay." I said, "Wow." I said, "Can you please show me some evidence of how this is done? Take a small space." So sadly, I have to tell the guy, "Don't waste your life on it. Come with great idea, but come up with practical tips." I'll give you one more idea. This will actually come from this happened a couple of days ago. It's actually again come from colleges. Young kids, they are trying to figure out, so how do you recycle sanitary napkins? Good idea. So they have figured out how to do things, but they've been able to do it for say 30, 50. To do it at scale, you need equipment. They came to us and we run this kind of seed fund, right? So they applied. So I said, "Great idea. The problem you're solving is real because the plastic will remain for 500 years, contaminate the soil. But what is the machine which you're going to do to be able to do this? Have you at least even conceptualized what that machine is?" So obviously they have thought about it. So we said, "Fine, we'll put you in touch with we have to do that." So I think one of the challenges I find, lots of times I get asked, why do startups fail? They fail for a variety of reasons. Founder incapacity, the market size is too small, kind of timing is an issue, lots of things. But I think one fundamental reason why they fail is because they haven't thought through the idea. They haven't found out why is there a need for what you're doing. If there is a need for it, then you figure out how to monetize. Who will pay for it? There's potentially a large number of consumers or businesses buying. Are there 25 other? I can give you one more example. There are about 6 or 7 ride-hailing apps which are going to come in. Everybody is saying ONDC is there. So with ONDC now, and everybody says, I'm trying to solve problems. Consumers are disappointed with search pricing. Consumers are disappointed with cancellations. Drivers are unhappy because the ride-hailing companies are taking disproportionate money. They don't get paid on time. I want to solve that problem. Good luck. Okay. And then they say, so people come up with this model where the driver pays say 25-30 rupees one time for a day. This challenge, you start looking at the math, the economics. How do you run a large operation? How many people do you require? It just doesn't stack up. They don't think enough, or someone is not there to ask them questions. Why are you doing this? And simple question about why will you win?
So this is going to be probably my last question. So for me, we all talk about this thing. In a larger company, even in a startup, product is just 10-15% of the company, and you work only with technology. Like you are the CEO of the largest technology innovation hub in the country, probably the best one in the Asia for autonomous navigation. So, what do you think? What technology innovation hubs like yours shall do to actually make this technology to see the day of light of the day? That's a bigger. So we always talk about translational research, like all that we talk about, but with TIH being established, how many TIH? I think 12, 15 are there in the country, or more than that. Exact number nobody knows, but there are more than 10, 15 TIH established across the country, each one having a budget of almost
25
TIHs
with a project funding of
3,200 crores have been just kept in to build this infrastructure and technology. But what has been done to make it or support translational technology? Because I see the last translational bigger technology we've seen was India's stack. Something like Aadhaar, FASTag, these are the translational technologies which actually changed the whole paradigm. So, what do you think? What these TAs should do, and how people can actually look at these technologies and build better products?
Yeah. So when it comes to the TR, we are working on the autonomous navigation, both autonomous cars, autonomous drones, air taxis, even for surface and underwater vehicles also we are working with the different armed forces. So what we are doing is we are developing the technology. We are reaching up to technology at TRL level 8 and all. We are developing at our controlled environments. When you want to deploy the same autonomous vehicles on the Indian road conditions, we don't have any policies. We don't have any government policies to implement this autonomous vehicle driving in Indian conditions.
So, by the way, I have ridden in an autonomous vehicle which he built. So,
yeah, that's what
I have ridden, I think, multiple times. Yeah, in our campus. Yeah, so from the main gate to my office, I go in his vehicle.
Yes,
which is autonomous.
We have developed in Naval Dockyard, Visakhapatnam, even Lebas now. Sorry, for IAS training officers, we have given a technology demonstration to them also with our new batch, phase 1 and phase 2. But what we want to really deploy in Indian condition is the policy. The policies is not there. If autonomous vehicle launched in Indian road condition, then entire your Indian Motor Vehicle Act should change. Your IT Information Act should change, because autonomous vehicle can be hacked by anyone. So your cybersecurity policies should come. So all these policy makers should address this question. So that's what this Bharat NCAP is coming. Bharat New Car Assessment Program. Generally, it's there in US and Europe. Euro NCAP. That's what the new car ratings are listed. They do a number of testings and then they give car ratings. But this system is not there in our Indian ecosystem. And even our Gadkari said, directly if I deploy autonomous vehicles, great for job creation. So, yeah, so TH is like us, it is again one more hurdle for us, so that research should not go into the another level. Yeah, now Tesla is bringing its own car plant in India. So he gives an autonomous vehicle for at least 25 lakhs here. But where is the rules? Who owns the driver license? Whether it car owns or car owner owns that license? And what is the traffic police? Who will find?
Who will be fined?
Yes. All this will be the policy making.
Okay. And what in every panel discussion I do is I ask panelists to ask questions each other. I'll tell you the reason. When जब बड़े लोग आपस में कॉल करते तो आपस में क्या बात करते हैं? हम नहीं पता, छोटे लोग हैं. when Kiran sir will call MSR, what Kiran and MSR will talk, how will we get to know? So that is now the idea. Yes. So now, like Kiran will ask a question to MSR. MSR will ask a question to Praveen. Praveen will ask a question.
Okay. Pradeep, in terms of so maybe two questions. First is maybe a small education for the audience. What are the different levels of education? You should also go back with some data. One. Second is where what you are doing behind. How far are you away, at least from getting to, let's say, TRL 5 or 6?
The first question I will address on the ADAS level systems. Right now, whatever we are seeing, the vehicle safety systems like XUV 700 Mahindra or Audi or Volvo, safety features are there. So ADAS is nothing but advanced driver assistance system. That's not fully autonomous vehicle. It is only aiding the driver to enhance its safety measures. So there is a difference between autonomous vehicle and ADAS vehicle. So autonomy starts with 0, as per the Society of Automobile Engineers. So level 0 is nothing but where driver takes off all your brake, steering, gear, everything control. So that's why they call it as a level 0. Okay, and up to level 5 is again completely autonomous vehicle. You can sit at the back seat and there is no driver in the front seat. You can read a newspaper and just say a location through voice command. It goes from point A, from Gachibowli to Bora, then it moves on. Okay, only you have to leisurely sit and you can work on. That is called a completely autonomous vehicle with connected features. Okay, and between level 1, where the automatic steering system, there the safety will incorporate into the vehicle. If a vehicle deviates your lane markings like dash lanes or continuous lane on the road, when your vehicle is deviating its lane, then it immediately alerts your driver that vehicle is deviating a lane. So driver takes a corrective measure. He again comes in, he holds the steering and brings the vehicle into the correct path. So in that way, the level 1 to level 3 driver will be there. So in all steering, brake, all this will be done in the level 3 completely like what you say, external actuators. You don't require your leg to operate brake, steering, or your hands or gear. It will be completely programmed inside your automobile. All there are ECUs, electronic engine control units or electronic control units we call. Your brake will have a separate ECU, your airbag will have a separate, and your air conditioning will have a separate ECUs. All these ECUs will be modified and programmed as per this ADAS levels. So in that way, level 1, level 2 to level 3 and 4 are the ADAS level features. So it does the automatic emergency braking, whether it is a pedestrian, human being, or cattle on the road, or a speed bump, or a pothole, the vehicle will automatically detect and stop, even it is a traffic sign of Indian or other traffic lights. So these are the ADAS level features coming into the vehicles. Already some XUV 700 autonomous emergency brake is completely enabled, and Tesla stands there, complete autonomous vehicle. And we are also working in the Tihan IIT Hyderabad. The same thing. We have launched in our campus controlled environment. Ours is a 600 acres campus, and we are running these autonomous vehicles from last August 2023. So last 8 months we have not faced any incident happened with that. Okay, so that our algorithms are trying to Indian traffic data set and dynamic data set. Sometimes when the visitors or VIPs come, even at the ministry level to the Tihan or IIT, they simply jump in front of the vehicle just to check that whether the vehicle is stopping or not. So we have such a fail-safe redundant system that vehicle will stop with respect to dynamic conditions, whether it is a buffalo or any cattle that is being transferred. So that's why our TOT process, the second question is there. We have developed this transfer of technologies to the many OEMs. Like LTTS is taking our technology and deploying. Other technologies are deploying. And also some of the Bangalore-based companies. You have seen mining vehicles. In most of the airports used to come with passengers, like a shuttle kind of thing. So they want to take some of our Tihan technologies to the real field deployments. That's right. Not only this one, and we are also into the urban air mobility, like air taxi solutions also. So we have done some proof of concepts levels also within the level of PRL 6, and we are going to scale up also. We have done some NSF proposals also, sir, to National Science Foundation and USISTF endowment fund also. Indian. So US government is funding some level. We are developing the complete solution. Right now, even Indigo is planning an air taxi from Delhi to Gurgaon. Actual journey is 1 hour, but through this air taxis, it is only 7 minutes with a charge of 2,000 to 3,000 rupees. So this is a minimum level of helicopter. This multi-route air taxis are not IC engine based helicopters. These are electric motor. Yes, where our startup, IT also works a lot on this kind of platform development along with products also. So the congestion between the urban traffic cities will be reduced drastically both in the air and ground vehicles also. It's completely autonomous.
So, Kiran, your question to us.
Yeah. Do you think innovation and entrepreneurship in Telangana can be decentralized and democratized to some extent? And is there anything that we can do as an academic incubator to partner or collaborate or help decentralize itself?
We have 33 districts in Telangana. So, one issue which we have to definitely tackle is a lot of what is happening in Hyderabad. IIT, IKP, and so on. So I think if you ask me long term, see what is the difference between somebody in Hyderabad or us? Just access. Nothing else. They are as smart, not smarter. They may be more in touch with the ground reality of problems. What we have to figure out and obviously crack the code is how do you provide them access? How does an entrepreneur? So I'll give you one example. We have one amazing young entrepreneur who's 22 years old. His name is Ravi. He runs an interesting company called Alien Innovations. This fellow has been studied in a Navodaya school in Hyderabad. He went to some college and he's now doing a lot of work in assistive tech. So one thing which he's built, this is for people with visual impairment. So you use a stick. So what he's done is he's built a device. Small button. So anyone carrying a walking stick, you can actually carry this in your hand. And obviously collision detection, collision avoidance. This thing is done. Now this fellow was discovered accidentally. He was discovered, others also get discovered. So somewhere what happens is, some of them will fall through the cracks. So if you can figure a way out to minimize the falling through the cracks. See, a lot of young people have ideas. They need some support, some guidance. So I think long term, we see much more of this stuff. I know, for example, they have now come up with every year they do annually a startup ranking. This year they have changed some of the parameters. Actually, it's quite nicely done. And a lot of things they are now looking at is how are you making sure across the state. So, for example, see what's happened today. There's some other data point. 13 districts in India contribute 50% of our GDP. 13 districts. We have 730 districts. So obviously we know the districts. Hyderabad, Chennai, Bangalore, Coimbatore, Pune, Bombay. Right? So now for India to progress, it has to be beyond those numbers. So policymakers are aware. Like everything in India, things take time. Be optimistic.
It's actually a general question. Why the West Coast startup ecosystem is very strong compared to East Coast, southern part of India? Like Gujarat
I
and
didn't realize that
Mumbai.
happened. Now I'm realizing that is there.
Yeah, why Gujarat, Mumbai?
I'm not sure why, but I think East Coast is more has been more. I mean, if I look at the states now and think now, which means the answer could be entirely wrong. But I think we were focused more on education, intellectuals being that, I mean, being academic and such, where the West Coast has been looking into business. I believe it has got some historical background also, where most of the trade was happening with the Middle East and Europe way back, also going back even before British era. And towards the east, we only had invasions towards the Southeast Asia. So that's probably why there were more businessmen on the west than on the east. And of course, there is also the Parsi population that came into India and settled in the west coast. That's probably the reason, in my opinion, if I think right now, at the top of my head.
And again, even in Telangana is getting prominent more, but not why not Kerala and Tamil Nadu and other parts?
So I think,
Because we have
no, I think all see again. So if you ask me, there's one state we can take as a role model for industrial development, all around uniform industrial development. That I should say this carefully, but it is Tamil Nadu. I'll tell you why. It is why because Tamil Nadu has Chennai, has Coimbatore, has Trichy, has Salem, has Tirupur, Madurai. So lots of hubs, textiles, automobiles, pumps, lots of things are happening. Much more uniform than any other state, not just in South India, across India.
Thank you, sir.
I'll stop before I say anything else which is controversial.
Okay, so with this we end the discussion. You have been a very lovely audience. Thanks a lot for all your time on a Sunday evening. Thanks a lot, everyone. Thank you.
To stay informed about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to My Startup TV.